Hi guys, welcome to the Lore Studios. This is another episode of Android Programming. We're going to be looking at how to set up a navigation DrawerLayout widget in the Android support library. We're going to be using the Kotlin programming language to set this up. Our Kotlin programming language has come to stay as an official language to develop an Android application. And we all know the benefits Kotlin brings. It actually helps out when it comes to nullability, and it reduces a lot of boilerplate code where you get to write a lot of verbose code while using Java. This is not taking any credit away from Java, but we will be interchangeably using the two languages to set up an Android application. So let's look at how to develop a navigation drawer, as we all know, using this wonderful language. So right there in Android Studio, we'll be starting up with the dependency, which is always the first. But if you're using the Android Studio version lower than 3, you might not have Kotlin out of the box bundled up with the application. So I will implore you to get a plugin from the settings. You could actually get that installed, and you get your hands rolling using Kotlin. But if you actually are using Android Studio 3.0 and above, you're going to have Kotlin embedded, which you could select while creating the project to support Kotlin, and that's actually going to set up a fresh Kotlin project for you, and it's going to include all the dependencies in the build.gradle file. But if you are actually adding or doing this for the first time, I will show you how your build.gradle should look like. If you're setting up Kotlin, you should have something of this nature. You should have the apply plugin come Android application, the apply plugin of the Kotlin Android, and the apply plugin of the Kotlin Android extensions. Very important. Before you could set up your dependencies, the very most important dependency when you're using Kotlin is the implementation from the JetBrains, the Kotlin, which is the STD, just like what we have the SDK, the STD, the libjre7, that's the Java runtime 7. It could be 8, and you could have different versions. So you could get this Kotlin version from your Gradle dependency, which is the build.gradle, the project version, over here the extension Kotlin version 1.1.50. So that's the version of Kotlin you're using. You could have a higher one at the point of installation of your Android Studio. So it depends on what you're actually using. So this is what we'll be basing our development on, and let's quickly start rolling on how to set up the files. We need to include the card view and the recycler view, as we all been doing, and you sync Gradle, get yourself ready. Let's look at the layout files. I will be looking at 3 basic layouts here: the navigation drawer, the drawer list item, and the fragment planet, because we'll be setting up different fragment named Mercury, Venus, Mars, all as a list, as a recycle, a drawer layout list. So we're not using the typical menu that you need to set up menu options, menu items, the icon, and the title. We're just using a navigation, a recycler view to set up the drawer layout. Let's get our hands rolling. In the navigation drawer layout, which is the launcher layout, you could see from the preview what you're expecting. That's the drawer by the left, starting up with a drawer layout, which is intended to be used as a top-level content view using match parent both width and height to consume the full space available. That's for the drawer layout parent tag, as you can see. Followed by the frame layout, which is the main content view, which is below, that consumes the entire space available using the match parent in both dimensions. You have that set up as well. Looking at the recycler view, you could actually tell the drawer layout to treat this as a sliding drawer. On the left side for left to right languages, and on the right side for right to left languages. That's for RTL flow. if you really want it to swivel to the right to left or to the left to right. But you have basically the recycler view where you have the layout written height based on the dimension. You have to give a dimension because you are not actually covering the whole screen. So you have a background color and the gravity start choice mode. This recycler view must have an item attached to it. So let's get to look at the basic items that you'll be having, which is the draw list item, just a text view, a mere text view that will set as the name of the different planets, Mercury, Venus, and so on. You're going to have a fragment definitely attached to each recycler view or each item click, which is just a bare imagery. So this is where you inflate different fragments. On click of one item, replaces the frame layout and gives a new fragment. On click on the other, replaces the frame layout as well and also give another fragment. So that's just the flow, the typical flow of how we know to construct the navigation drawer, but just in a different syntax and languages, just which we are all familiar with. From here, I'll be headed straight to the classes. And in the classes here, we'll basically look at the drawer layout, which is the navigation drawer layout activity, the adapter that will be attached to the recycler view, and the fragment, which is going to serve as the base, the frame layout itself. So starting up with the navigation drawer layout, let's get to start from the top. This extends activity, I want you to look at some salient features when you're looking at Kotlin, because we'll be looking at a different flow from the Java environment that we are used to. So right now, you have the extent with a single colon, as you could see right there. This serves as an extent activity, and also implementing the planet adapter on item click listener. So you've set up a listener to each item, which is right on the navigation drawer. So that's it. And we are having the field set up this way. You could see this is a private late int var. The drawer layout you're having in Java, you're going to have this first before the name of the object you're setting up. You're going to have this first before this, but now you're having the object set up first before the name, the class itself. So let's get to dissect what this means. What is var? Var means a global scope. Just like when you're setting up a variable, that's a global variable. That's where you use var. You use val when you're setting up a variable that is right inside a function or inside a method. So that's when you use val. Use var as a global, and you use val as a local variable scope. And what is a late int? A late int is a late initialization. Normally, properties declared as having a non-null type must be initialized in the constructor. However, fairly often this is not convenient. For example, properties can be initialized through dependency injection, or you could actually set up methods of a unit test in this case. You cannot supply a non-null initializer in the constructor, but you still want to avoid the null checks when referencing the property inside the body of a class. That's why you need to use the late int modifier to set up this. So we're using a late int over here to set up the drawer layout, the list of the recycler, that's the object of the recycler view. The same thing for the action bar drawer toggle, the character sequence, and the initialization of the array string, which you have the planet title. In Java, you're going to have the new, that's equals to new array list. You instantiate the character sequence as well. You will be instantiating the recycler view, so you just don't need to do that. So that's the essence of reducing a lot of boilerplate codes for you. Override font, that's the method. That's the onCreate method we are all used to. You set the content view to the layout activity navigation drawer, and now you have the val, which is the local variable called drawer title, setting up to the title. Now you are setting up the drawer title itself to a title now. You have the new title over here, which is the character sequence. You're giving it as the title. And you have the planet titles, excuse me, which is getting the resources, the string, from an array called the planets array. You have an array set up right there in the folder. Let's get to look at the array. values, get string array over here. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, just forming an array list. So that's still the same flow. Let's get back to the class. And now you have the RecyclerView. When you call its view by ID and you apply, you're going to improve performance by indicating the list if the fixed size. If the fixed size, you set the as fixed size to be true. And now you have the adapter, which is the planet adapter, where you're going to pass words, you're going to pass the planet titles, and you're going to pass these, which is the particular activity you're looking at over there. Now you enable action bar icon by setting up enabled, or if you really want that to happen, where you're going to have the hamburger. Now the action bar drawer toggle. This ties together the proper interaction between the sliding drawer and the action bar icon. You have the object of the action bar drawer toggle. You can already declare the drawer toggle at the top. And you have this, which is the host activity. You have the DrawerLayout object. You have the description for accessibility. That's the open and the close of the drawer. You need to override another method called onDrawerClosed. So when you close the drawer, what do you want this to happen? You have a view of the drawer over here, which is called the DrawerView, where you're going to set the action bar title to the title of the particular selected menu, and you get to invalidate the options menu. That's to refresh or restart the on options item selected, or on unprepared options menu. Rather, you call it again the unprepared options menu. You draw the open when it's closed, right? Then, and when it's open, the same thing is going to happen. You still call on unprepared options menu as well to get the state of the present selected menu. That's the fragment itself. So you set a custom shadow that overlays the main content when the drawer opens. Well, on draw listener, draw toggle over there. That's what that is doing. And if save instance state is equals to null, the selected item that is going to start from position 0, that's the item itself that is going to start from the first index of the array. So if there's no instance of this, you override the onCreate options menu. That's the create options menu, the navigation drawer itself. And this is when you set on create options menu and the unprepare options menu. This is going to be called before creating the options menu. That's the difference. So called whenever we call the invalidate options menu. And you get to do some things here. Probably to set the visibility of the web search to null, or when you're trying to this can actually manipulate your toolbar menu anytime you would need some stuff not to show at a point in time. Now on options item selected, when you're selecting a particular item on the toolbar, so you could actually do that. You have the action web search, you get that from the menu. So that's just a basic search menu, which you could implement further, and how you really feel it should flow. The click listener on RecyclerView in the navigation drawer, this on click, you're having override font. When you see the override font, that's you are overriding. That's the override annotation you have in Java. Because what you set up an on item click listener here, definitely you should have an override method of on click method, which is there. So you select item position. Now you still have the override or the set title being overridden over here, where you have the new title and you set the action bar title appropriately. Now let's get to look at some other stuff. It is used, which is the action bar drawer toggle, which is used to call the onPost create and on configuration change. OnPost create now, this is where you get to sync the toggle states after it has occurred. Where you get to look at the drawer toggle sync states, and on configuration change. This is where you pass any configuration change to the drawer toggle. So you pass that on configuration change with the object, the new config. You have to commit the selected item, the fragment. You can see the way you call the fragment. That's commit transaction, the fragment manager, the content frame itself, which is the frame layout. You're going to instantiate that with a planet fragment, and you get to commit that. At the same time, you pass the title, the selected title of the menu. That's from the navigation drawer. So when you select Mercury, the title should read Mercury. When you should select Venus, the title of the fragment should read Venus, because you're just invariably replacing a fragment, and the title should also reflect the selected fragment. That's just it. So just the same flow of all we have when we're setting up a navigation drawer, the typical Java implementation, but this is a different flow. In Kotlin, you can see this is quite shorter and straight down to the point. We need to look at some other implementations we had, because we are actually using a RecyclerView. We will need an adapter to the RecyclerView, very important. This is where you actually pass in the data set, which is the array, and the listener, the on item click listener. And also you extend the RecyclerView adapter, just like how you've been extending that with the planet adapter and its view order. So you have the interface that is being overridden right there in the navigation drawer activity class, Kotlin class. Now you have the interface here, which actually is going to handle the onClick. So you need to override onClick at that point in time. So let's get to look at the view order. The view order, as we all know, it serves as the field where it's going to actually have these views, and which will be used in the RecyclerView view order. It only has text view, and maybe it has other implementation you need to set up or list them appropriately. And you have to override the onCreateView order, onBind view order, just like the same thing we had in any adapter of a Java class. You have to override the view order, passing the period, calling the list the item, which is going to be the inflating the item, the drawer list item. And onBind view order, now you call the order, you could see some lambda, which is over here, the view calling the listener on click when there is onClick set up on the listener on the text view, or on the yes, definitely is on the text view, which serves as the item of the navigation drawer. And you need to override get the item count. This is just variably where you call the data set and get the size of the item in the array being passed down as the data to display content on the adapter. So that's just it. In short, it's just the same flow as we used to have, just with different little bit of syntax here and there, and just the same flow we've had earlier on. Let's get to look at the fragments, since we're going to be working with fragments here. The planet fragment. This extends fragment. Once you see this extends, and you override the onCreateView, you can have the onCreateView activity, and you have the companion object here. This companion object could be useful when you're passing an argument, just like when you're passing an argument from one activity to a fragment. You pass that as a bundle, definitely. So this is where you get the bundle. You could get this in on activity created. It's right there in Kotlin. You have a companion object that could actually handle this for you gracefully, where you have the constant, which is the argument planet number, and you have the new instance, the method, or let's say the function, that takes in a position and integer value over here and apply that to the bundle. So it's actually put int, the argument number, and the position. That's when we are applying. You're trying to put an int, but when you're also getting, you could actually do that in the new instance when you're getting some bundle extra from an activity. Let's get to look at the onCreateView, which is very important. That's where you initialize all views you'll be using in the fragment. You have the inflator, the view group, and the bundle itself. This invariably is going to maintain a not null pointer. Cool. Let's move further. Now we have the inner variable, the planet number, arguments to get the int. Cool. You could see, and get the string array from the planet array I showed, and by the planet number, that's the ID, and the image ID now, that's get the identifier, which is the image we're going to use. Pass that to lowercase, and it's going to return just like what you return. You return the view. Normally, now you are returning an inflated fragment planet, which is the layout fragment, with container and the attached to root force, where you're going to apply this to the image view, whereby you set the image resources to the image ID over there. So this is just inflating the fragment and doing some other fucking things with it. In subsequent videos, we'll be looking in details on different syntaxes of Kotlin, and let's get ourselves used to the trend, to the Kotlin tradition. Sometimes you see different question mark flying here and there. You see a lot of short form of code in Lambda, using Lambda expression. You get to see a lot of boilerplate code being reduced. You said you get to see a lot of functionality happening. You said to see different flow entirely, but they're still going to be based on what you've known, what you have, the experience you have in Java. It's going to be based on that, the experience you have in developing Android applications. It's going nowhere. It's still a subset of it. So I'll be showing you the screencast of this video, and I will let you to see how this is being displayed. And I'll say, don't go anywhere. Stick with Layer Studios and leave a comment whatsoever if you have any problem. Thank you very, very much. Have a wonderful time.